Anyone looking up along the Hudson River on a recent afternoon could be forgiven for thinking they were merely watching a classic airplane against an iconic backdrop.
Should have New York playing in the background. There's a helicopter.
What they were really witnessing was a major milestone, one stop in an unlikely journey that had every reason to fail. Miss Montana is 75 years old and hadn't flown in 18 years. She was a museum piece in a hangar at the Missoula, Montana airport. They spent more than a year going all over this C-47, tinkering and tightening, lubricating and calibrating. The goal? Fly her all the way to Normandy to help recreate one of the most terrifying and momentous days in military history 75 years ago this Thursday, D-Day. When 175,000 Allied troops and 50,000 vehicles went up against a well-dug-in enemy and changed the course of history. It is a powerful motivation for the people working on this airplane who faced an immense challenge.
If I'd have known how much work was needed, we might not have started this thing. But
Brian Douglas is one of the pilots. For Miss Montana, this is a chance for valor that was denied her by timing. She was built in 1944, but by the time she was ready to go into battle, the war ended.
we sort of look at this mission as finishing what she was built for.
So maybe Miss Montana will get a little glory
Maybe.
75 years later.
Well, she'll get glory.
If all goes as planned, this plane will join 14 other American C-47s and another group from Europe to retrace the route across the English Channel taken by roughly 850 of these aircraft on D-Day.
Well, in my opinion, the C-47 is one of the greatest planes ever built. Well, this is the parachute wings. There's the 2 stars in it for 2 combat jumps.
Dan McBride was a parachutist with the 101st Airborne. He was one of the first men ferried across the Channel that day. He's 95 now and still remembers D-Day in detail.
And when we flew over the Channel, you know, I was standing right in the door looking down at 600 feet, and it looked to me like the whole Channel was moving. I honestly didn't believe there was that many ships in the world. And it was the greatest sight I think I've ever seen.
He spent a lot of time in C-47s, but there weren't many good times.
No, we, when they started shooting at us, you know, we wanted to get the hell out of this thing, you know. But, yeah, you could hear bullets hitting it. You know, it sounded like rain hitting it. And then the anti-aircraft fire, somebody says, hey, look at the flares. Ain't no flares.
Jeff Weitzel has heard stories like Dan McBride's through the years, and they have moved him.
When you get up tomorrow morning and you see the sun come up, please thank God for our veterans.
And that's part of the reason why he signed on as chief pilot for Miss Montana.
It's really about paying proper tribute. Those folks in World War II are all passing away now. This thing we're doing in Normandy is probably the last time they're going to have a proper tribute paid before they're all gone. So, yeah, there's a deep-seated mission here for me.
Accomplishing that mission means defeating the forces of time and circumstance. Shortly after the war, this plane crashed into the Monongahela River in Pittsburgh and sank. After she was raised from the bottom, she flew for years for the Johnson Flying Service, taking firefighters to remote blazes in Montana forests so they could parachute out to extinguish the flames. Over the years, the plane built a following, and there was no shortage of volunteers, some dressed in period costume, willing to help get her airborne again. Crystal Schoeneman has been there almost since the beginning.
Every weekend for 10 months, plus 2 weeks over Christmas. It's consuming. It's consuming in the best possible way.
After rebuilding both engines and making countless other fixes, large and small, Miss Montana flew again. Two weeks ago, she made a triumphant pass over home base and headed east. She's now traveling in distinguished company, including That's All Brother, believed to be the first C-47 in the main wave of the invasion, and Placid Lassie, another D-Day veteran who almost ended her days in a Florida weed patch before being brought back to life and flown by Eric Zipkin.
I mean, this saw a lot of action.
Saw an enormous amount of action, yeah. I mean, it's extraordinary that I'm able to fly around in an airplane that, not only an airplane like this, but this actual airplane, the rivets that kind of surround me, flew over the beaches of Normandy in 1944.
They will try to do most everything the same way as many of these same planes did during the war. They will drop parachutists.
And the wind takes you and you're flying this way, and within 4 seconds your chute's open.
Including Kim Maynard, who used to jump into wildfires to fight them, and her husband, Al Charters, a retired Special Forces officer.
If we don't do it well and we don't do it accurately, shame on us.
This is personal for him. The invasion, the fierce fighting, and the determination of the Allied troops who suffered staggering losses is not just part of world history to him. It's part of his family's history.
It's the same airspace that my father flew in 3 times on D-Day 75 years ago. So to share that airspace is perfect.
This morning, Miss Montana is in England. She made it across the Atlantic, along with Placid Lassie and the other airplanes waiting for the anniversary. It will be the culmination of that unlikely journey that began more than a year ago. If all goes well, it will end in honor for the D-Day soldiers and glory for a vintage airplane that, without this mission, might never have flown again.